Welcome everyone. Welcome to Academically. This is going to be the very first video of my Academically channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to structure your assignments. If you are in your first year or second year in your degree program, this video is for you. This is about the basics of structuring and your assignments. So let's see. Keep in touch. Welcome back. As you can see this in this board, I have separated four sections. These are the main four sections that you can have in any assignment. These are the basics or the fundamentals of your assignment. So the very first section is about introduction, literature review, application, conclusion, and recommendation. So also I have chosen this topic for this study, digital expansion in customer service. So before you start anything, you need to understand the key elements of this study. So whatever the topic that you have to choose, you need to focus on your key elements. So now in this case, as you can see, I have highlighted in red customer service and digital expansion. So you need to keep these two in your mind throughout the study. Until you reach up to your recommendation, we are focusing on digital expansion and customer service. So some students, the moment they get this assessment criteria, they start writing and they end up writing about motivation by the time they reach application part. So make sure you always switch back to your assessment guideline and check, okay, I have to focus on digital expansion and customer service, not motivation. So that focus has to be there throughout the time. Introduction. So in the introduction, the first part, I would say intro. Another intro within intro. So in this intro, you need to focus on digital expansion and customer service. You can use like couple of definitions about digital expansion and customer service, and you can talk about how important these aspects in current business environment. So likewise, you can have a very small overview of these key elements. So that should come under introduction section. And then you have purpose. The purpose of this assignment. What is your purpose of this assignment? What are you going to complete? What are you going to achieve? So in one sentence, you can explain about your purpose in this study. The purpose of this author to complete what? So have one sentence, a solid sentence completing your purpose. And then you have significance. So significance is basically about the benefits. So by completing this project or rather the assignment, who's going to get benefits? Okay, who are the stakeholders who should be getting these benefits by reading or like implementing these recommendations? So you can touch on those as well. So maybe probably the stakeholders of this company. Okay, maybe the customers. So likewise, you need to complete this part as well briefly again, and then you need to do the signposting. Signposting is basically about you need to convince the reader that these are the sections that you're going to cover in this study. So basically you're hinting in the introduction, you're basically hinting the reader, okay, in this study these are the sections that you're going to cover, these are the theories that you're going to specifically choose. So likewise you're like directing the reader, okay, in this study these areas will be covered. So likewise, you can explain these sections, four sections as well, with few examples. You don't have to go in detail in this section as well. Just touch on the areas that we are going to cover. So this is about signposting. Now, let's number this. So imagine the main first section is introduction. This could be 1.0. And then you have company background. I would number it as company background. So 1.1. Now in most cases you need to pick a company, you need to choose a company to apply, right? So that is going to be your case study. So let's say you're choosing XYZ. So in this example I'm going to choose XYZ company. Now you need to talk about XYZ company, not about their digital expansion or customer service. This is briefly about their overview. Like for example, what are the industries that they are working in? How many employees are there? How many customers are like customer base is how expanded it is and all that. and that is about company background. So likewise, these are the sections that you need to cover in introduction section. Right now we have the literature review. So literature is basically about past data, past studies, published journals and all that. So what are the secondary information that you can find anywhere? Probably on the internet, maybe also in your library. You can bring information to the study. So whatever the secondary information that you are referring to, we call it as literature review. Like I said, I will have separate videos for each and every sections. I will be teaching about them in a comprehensive manner also. So for the time being, let's say the past studies of digital expansion. Now, during your lectures, so your tutors would teach you about theories, frameworks, models about digital expansion. Now, let's say you learned about ABC theory about digital expansion. Now you can bring that theory under literature review along with the citation. I know that you guys know about the citations and all that referencing. So you need to put those citation and referencing in this part the most. So the literature review section is where you have to use a lot of citations because this is the sections where that you have to complete more like theory. Okay, so now you can talk about, see, in literature review also you can have a small intro. What is literature? You can have a definition saying, okay, what is literature? General term. And also, you can talk about theories, importance. So you can talk about, you can have a small introduction and about your theories, whatever the theories that you have learned from your tutors, and also the importance of these theories. When you talk about importance, try to talk about um, negative negative aspects as well. Just try to have those balance, don't just try to write about the good things about this ABC theory. You can bring your counter arguments along with citation and you can explain, okay, there are risks in this theory. If you don't do this is going to be a problem. So things like that also you can discuss in this literature. So most of the sections that you are going to cover in this area, you should be cited. So you have to cite with that source that you are referring to. Okay, so literature review is about that. Now let's say now you have a sentence, you are writing a sentence in this theory part. So it is always good to have a automated good to have an automated procurement process in purchasing department. Let's say sending invoice by a robot, you can automate. So if you have an automated procurement process, it's going to be the one of the benefit in digital expansion in any company. So let's say now you're highlighting, okay, automating procurement. So you found out this article. In this article, you have seen, okay, automating procurement process is going to benefit customers in some way. Okay, you have put the citation and all that. So this will be there. So I will come to this part again. So this is just an example. So this is basically about the literature. So past studies also make sure, so the key elements. Key elements are digital expansion and customer service. Keep those two in your mind all the time. So when you complete the literature review, also make sure literature are pertaining to digital expansion and customer service. Pluses and minuses both. Try to weigh more on the pluses. Okay, that is about literature review. Right. Now we have the application part. So we have talked about introduction, literature review. Now we have the application part. So this is where you have to talk about your company. This is where you have to bring that company that you have chosen. Now let's say we have talked about ABC company. So this is the company that I have chosen. I have given the overview in the introduction section as well. Okay. Now the application part. Now this is where you talk about the existing strategies of this company. What are the processes in place in terms of digital expansion and customer service? Don't forget these are the key elements. Just like I always said, So you have to focus on the digital expansion and customer service. So what are they doing in terms of digital expansion strategies, processes? And also now you can the example that I have given you during the literature part. So remember, so automating procurement process. Now you can compare this ABC company. What are they doing in terms of procurements? Are they like relying on manual workforce? People are working there. There's no automated process. So you can discuss that part. Okay. Even though the automating procurement process are good, this company does not have any automation part in procurement department. So you can apply that. Basically, you are comparing your application along with the literature that you have discussed. So in the literature that you have discussed, automating procurement department is going to benefit the company. Now you're talking about the ABC company, but they don't have any automated process in procurement department. So you don't have to worry about anything, even though they do have or not. Just mention what are the things in place. So you can say this is what they do. So they're using people, manpower to complete that process. So basically, on the application, you need to talk about that company, not the general information, because we have already talked about general information in the introduction section. Now we need to focus on the key elements and this company. So we are applying, and when we apply, also you have to compare. So now you have talked about few theories and examples. Just like the example that I have given, you can compare others as well along with the literature. This is not in line with the literature. So likewise, you can mention few statements there. This is basically about the application. Now also again, you need to keep these things in your mind. Depending on the assessment guideline, the structure would be slightly different. Sometimes, like I said, application and literature, you have to go parallelly. You can't separate these two sections. Sometimes, without a conclusion, you will have to do the recommendation part. So likewise, there are slight changes. So always focus on your assessment guideline. These are the fundamentals though. Okay. So this is about the application. Okay, now we are in the last part of the structuring. In this video, this is the last section of this assignment structure. Now, conclusion and recommendation. In some assignments, you have to write the conclusion at last and recommendation first. So, following recommendation, you need to provide the conclusion. In some assignments, you need to write the conclusion and thereafter recommendation. So, likewise, it changes. Now, in this case, I have chosen conclusion in the beginning. So in conclusion, what are the things that you can write? It's very simple. So what you have to write is basically the key highlights of this study. So what are the key highlights? So what are the key things that you found out by doing these assignments? So you can refer to literature as well as application. So summarize all this information and write on the conclusion. And also you can touch on the purpose. The purpose of this assignment was to do this. You can start like that in the conclusion. And then you can touch on the key highlights in a very briefly manner. So what you have to do is you need to summarize information that you have found out from literature as well as application. Okay. So this conclusion part is very simple. There's no complication in that. You just have to summarize things and explain what are the things that you have found out. That is conclusion. And then now you have the most important part, the recommendation. Recommendations. Most of the students, they would give recommendation from their own mind. So you have to do that. Of course, you need to give recommendation with your knowledge, but then again, it should have a rationale. For example, you can't come up with a very new, out of nowhere, you cannot say anything like, you have to automate the full company. That is not practical. That is not realistic. Always make sure you have the flow. Now, if you want to put a recommendation, as the way I have discuss and apply, you can say one of your recommendation in this case would be um, automating procurement process. Now you got to know if you automate your procurement department, that's going to have benefits for the company. Now, when you do the application, when you did the application, you got to know they don't have any automation. Now, based on that, you can recommend saying automating the procurement process in this way. Always try to be specific. Don't try to give okay automating procurement department. That is not. So you need to have a strategy. How, of course, this is about automating procurement, but how you are going to do that? So by doing this, the strategy also should be backed up with this recommendation of yours. You see the flow. So you got to know the benefit of automating document in literature with citation, and in application you have applied the part with ABC company. You got to know that they don't have any automation process. So based on that, you have given a recommendation. So that's the flow that you need to follow. So everything should have a link. So this is just an example. Okay, this procurement process is just an example that I have brought just to make you, understand in a very clearer manner. So now procurement process always, and also make sure you have, when you're recommending, you have a strategy. Don't just say okay, automating procurement. Don't just talk about recommendation like that. You have the strategy also. In this section, um, invoicing part can be automated with ABC software. Likewise, make it more comprehensive and back up with a strategy. You have to put a justification there. If you do this, you can have this benefit. That's how you recommend. Don't just try to be vague in your subjective. Make sure you have a strategy. So recommendation is basically based on your analysis or the application. So make sure recommendation are followed by the application or the analysis. And also, you don't have to sometimes imagine this case. So they had this place in place, like automated. They have automated procurement process already when you did the application. Now you don't have anything to apply. But don't worry, if they are good in digital expansion in company, sometimes you get to know these companies are like good with the assignment key elements that we are focusing on. But still, you can say, okay, they have this in place, but they can improve. They can have another feature there. So improvement also can be considered as recommendation. They have this in place, which is good, and also you can enhance that. You can enhance the quality. You can add another feature. So likewise, you can suggest thing to improve also. So that is also, there's no harm in that also. The recommendation could be one of those improvements as well. But make sure you are like recommending something realistic and justifiable. It should have a benefit as well. So basically, that is about recommendation. I hope that we have covered in everything in a very understandable way. So this is about everything. So first, second, third, and fourth. So of course, this is about assignment. This is not about what do you call the research program. This is just an assignment. Sometimes you have 3,000 to 4,000 word assignments. This is about that. Okay, before we wrap up, so I have another suggestion to make. So make sure you have your own structure before you start writing these assignments. So you have your own structure. You know what are the word counts that you need to allocate. For example, imagine you get 1,000 words for this assignment. Now you need to have your own structure. So I would be like, based on your passing criteria, the weight of those sections as per your guideline, as per your university. So likewise, based on that, you need to allocate words. So in this case, I'm going to allocate 100 for introduction, 500 for literature, and application now would be like 200. Let's say 300. So we have 500, 300, 200, and then another 100 there. Yeah. So now we have the 1,000 words. So likewise, you need to have your own structure. When you start writing, imagine you are on the introduction. Now you are covering the section, subsection that I have taught you. So now when you're covering those sections, make sure you cross-check the word count as well. Imagine you have written 80 words. Now okay, you go back to your own structure and you check, okay, I only have 100 words to complete. Now I only have 20 more words left. So make sure whether you check whether you have covered all those sections within this 100. So always have that control so that you won't go out of the track. You won't exceed your word count, because when you exceed your word count, it is very stressful. You don't know what to remove. So you have the stress, okay, if I remove from this, it's going to be a disadvantage for you. So you have that, you will have to go through that struggle and the stress. So, but if you have your own structure and if you're following it, if you're switching back to your guideline and also to your own structure, you can have this control. You have that control to complete the assignment accordingly with a quality content along with a good balance of sections. So likewise, just like that, you need to have your own structure with allocated words and also allocated subsections. So you can have your, okay, under 100 I'm going to, again you can separate this. Even 100 can be divided with those subsections. For the intro, within intro, you will write about 20. These are just examples of the word count, not just like, it's hard to write an assignment with 1,000 words. But yeah, so my point is you need to have your own structure and you have to follow that. Every day you go back to your assignment and go back to your structure and check, okay, I'm in line, I'm in the track. I'm like, focusing on the digital expansion and the service, customer service, which are your key elements of the study. So then only your assignment become like very good. And also proofread. You check. You always read from top to bottom every day. Before you start writing, make sure you go through your assignment just to check your grammar and also typos and other stuff, the formatting and all that. So this is about this. Now, like I said, I have separated videos for each and every section again. So these are like the fundamentals of assignment structure. See you in the next video.